Hello there everyone and welcome back to whatever the heck Jesse uploads. In today's video, we are coming to Village Visit video number 2. Which is actually one of the last videos in my China trip series here on the channel. I know I've kind of edited a lot of these videos kind of out of order and stuff. But this video is one that a lot of my family has requested to see sooner rather than later, so I have went ahead and edited this village visit video first. In this village visit, we are visiting the ancestral village of my Guangdong, my great-grandfather, who was born in that village and grew up there till he was about 18 or 19 years old. And it is also the village where my grandfather's surname came from and the maiden name of my mother. Which made it a very special and significant village to visit on this first journey back to China to see where my roots come from there and where my family came from and grew up there. And it definitely gave me a big appreciation for all that they have done and accomplished in life, and kind of also connecting more with the roots of where we all came from there. So to kind of give you all more of a preface of this video, what's it about, what's going to be in it and stuff, just in case you aren't my family watching this video and you want to just like skip to certain parts or something. So the village we are visiting in today's video is known as Tong'an Village in Hoisanwa, and in Mandarin it is Dong'an Village. Which, while they rhyme, they don't exactly sound the same between the two different languages. And so in this video, thankfully, due to the awesome research team at Wuyi University and the student researcher guide, she was the main one interpreting for me, since, as you'll see in the video, I can understand some of what they're saying, but it's about 5 words out of 50, as I joked in the video. So she was the main one translating what they were saying to me and what I was saying to them, and just kind of gathering information on my behalf, since I'm not that proficient in Taishanese or Haisanwa. So that was tremendously helpful. And thankfully this village was very easy to find, because, well, it's where my great-grandfather, who is still alive, was born and grew up in. So of course it was pretty easy to find it and go back to visit it. But kind of what this video contains is, of course, checking out the village, visiting the ancestral house, the ancestral rites, and going over some family lines and meeting relatives and such, so which is really cool to actually meet some cousins over there who are still living there. So it was just really overall a really awesome and amazing experience, but I don't want to spoil it too much here in the little intro, and then you don't watch the rest of it. So without further ado, I will quit yapping now, and y'all can watch the rest of the video. Oh, we got 3 abandoned, 4, yeah, 5.
Usually, if they have some festival, they will also pay some worship there.
Yes. So after we entered the village and took the little turn around the, I guess, basketball court in front of the main village entry, we took a turn and started walking down towards some of the houses and stuff, and we could see from a distance, I guess at the last, like, 6 rows of houses, we could see Uncle Lem and his wife smiling there, waiting for us, which was rather nice of them. And after we met up with them, we headed to the ancestral house. Oh, after we met up with Uncle Lem and his wife, he took us to my ancestral house to formally begin, first and foremost, the ancestral rites, so which of course began here with the burning and offering of the incense at the main ancestral altar, so which contains the ancestral tablets of my great-grandfather's side of the family. Then all of the remaining incense were taken and placed at all of the smaller altars within and without the building of the ancestral house, so which were altars, I think, for the earth god and some other spirits, perhaps, Gong being the earth god. But first and foremost, to begin the ancestral rites, we actually poured out the libation offerings kind of in a line before the main ancestral altar, so which was a tradition I did not previously know of until going back to visit my ancestral villages on this trip.
She said he used to pay the worship and light the incense every year, but since the rich
Since it
start to collapse, it's dangerous, so they didn't do that again.
Yeah, it's changed a bit since it was last year. Yeah.
嗰度你嘅老豆啊？
Yes, yeah, that's him now.
Is this your great grandfather?
Yes,
呢個係春榮
春榮式啊
Yeah, that's him now.
以前我見過嘅你老豆啊。
佢知啊，佢睇過啲相啊。Yeah. They said Chun Yong came back once.
Yes.
And he met him once time.
Oh, cool.
而家仲在生喎，春榮叔喺美國係啊。
雲對生。
就係啊，在生啊。
得唔得啊？
係啊，呢個係個曾孫。
哦，即曾孫。
係啊。
哦。因為傳聞式嘅孫啦。
曾孫。
曾孫。
係幾代啊？
幾代嘅。
係啊。
幾代？春晚識黃生。佢玩阿爸嘅很多很差咗。
邊個阿爸？
Taishan。嗰個以前嗰個美國佬嗰個反出去嗰個啊。啊。
以前你。即係阿春榮叔嘅堂兄弟係。我知。
嗱，你講呢啲咁，反正我講一拜山下啦，拜山下。
After I got done formally offering up the joss paper to my ancestors, she took it from me, and she took it to a little clay pot underneath the ancestral altar and lit it on fire. That way it could go up in smoke to the ancestors, and to be honest, this was perhaps the most special and meaningful offering for me personally during the ancestral rites, because I have a distinct memory with my grandfather when I was probably about 6 or 8 years old, and we were walking through a Chinese grocery store in Houston, and I picked up this stack of very elaborately decorated paper, and I asked him what it was, and he told me that it was the money for the ancestors that we burn to take care of their needs in the afterlife, and that was something that always kind of stuck with me in my mind ever since then in my memory, so it was just kind of a special full circle moment that was meaningful, if that makes any sense.
佢哋唔識煮嘅，佢唔識煮嘅。
佢唔識煮，佢阿嫲識煮啦嘛。
可能。有冇啊？可以俾啲佢試下。
有啊。
我帶啲法過嚟俾佢啦。
都唔知點同佢講點煮。
From the last time.
佢老豆嘛。
Yeah, that's... Now, for anyone who's watching this part, please do be prepared for some loud noise. I'll explain what it is after. The firecrackers that we lit off were a part of the ancestral rites, and the reason why we light them off is to awaken and alert the spirits of the ancestors and let them know that we are coming back to visit, and then also it's just kind of a joyous, significant thing to do to welcome and kind of mark a relative coming back to the village to visit and such, and also very loud noises and stuff within Chinese culture are associated with driving away evil spirits and welcoming good ones in. Okay, so the following clips you've actually already seen before, just from a different point of view. All of the previous clips you've seen of the ancestral rites and in the ancestral house were all taken very graciously by my researcher. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had probably very many clips at all of the ancestral rites or time in the ancestral village or ancestral houses, so I'm very grateful to her for recording that. So now you're just kind of getting some B-roll from my phone from a different point of view of my time with my relatives and doing the ancestral rites, and some close-ups as well of some parts of the ancestral rites. So I hope y'all enjoy this footage.
Tao xin là chán của con nước chán của bạc kính mà.
3,000 蚊?
Rồi.
This photograph is by far my favorite photograph from my Lim village visit because it is me and my relatives in the ancestral village. And off to my right, you can see my cousin Lim Rushin, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name correctly, and her son, who you will see in just a moment, coming into the ancestral house for the first time to meet me, so which is pretty cool.
Oh.
春節咁拜3次啦，過年一次，過年一次咁。
開咩話？
開年啊！
哦，開年哦。
即係一年拜3次咁啦。哦，6月會嚟呢度拜。
Yeah, usually in the Spring Festival, they will pay visit 3 times here, and also did it again in June. Yeah.
而家咁跌咗，我哋唔敢熱來。怕落雨
佢明嘅。
Could you ask him what year the roof started collapsing?
You mean when did the roof start to collapse? 幾時開始冧？2年前係咪？
冧咗3年。
It's about 3 years ago it started to collapse.
以前好喎呢個。
係啊。
以前呢個好正，我每年都嚟打掃衛生咁講一次嘅。
以前嗰度唔會咁黑㗎，好白㗎。
Yeah, the bricks are still good.
得嗰度咁白㗎嘛，攞尾嘅
落水球啊。
哦。
佢得再同考不過好嘅唔需要彈我，呢嚿空嗰啲。
cái kiểu xếp bằng món nữa không như thằng này căng xuôi nó bút để phải đi nó này cái quỷ món mất chiếc của nó không thành quỷ
tôi cha quỷ cha tháo chị hải người đi cá qua nó cưng tôi không cha nhận một lần sống
可能等佢讀完書會翻到嚟遲。有心啫 ，just this is
我要啲片。
what?
Old photos.
But it is not clear.
Yeah, it's very
falling
apart.
Yên quá nắng
睇唔到咯，都睇唔到。
睇唔到啦。
係啊，睇唔到。呢個係邊個啊？
我嗰個就係佢爺啊。
阿蒼榮叔係咪啊？啊？呢個係蒼榮叔㗎。
嗰個佢係蒼榮叔，佢嘅爺啊。
This is 林春勇。佢嘅係啦。
Oh, that's his parents?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow.
睇唔清啦。
The time and the elements had done quite a number to the portraits of my great-grandfather's parents in the ancestral house. You could definitely still tell it was them, even though they were kind of cloudy.
There was no electric in the way, so they used those to light.
After everyone got acquainted, they started showing me around the house and explaining to me what some of the objects were in it, and it was really amazing knowing that they were all original and had been there since my great-grandfather grew up there, and more than likely were used by his parents and possibly even their parents, which was a really amazing thing to think about.
Yeah, and that line is over 100 years.
Oh, over 100 years?
Yes.
Wow.
佢到份邊度考大康？學生未有錢。
哦，
下一年先讀第一。
哦，下一年先讀第一。
After we all finished up with the ancestral rites and wrapped that up and everyone kind of got acquainted with each other and met each other, they put me on a call with a relative in New York of all places. I had no idea I had a relative over there in New York from this side of the family, so which was rather crazy, but it was very good to meet him. We video chatted for about a good 6 or 7 minutes or so, and it was really good. He was very curious as to how everyone in Texas was doing, in particular my great-grandfather, and it was just overall a really good conversation. But now, as I'm recording this voiceover for the clip right now, I just realized I actually know exactly how he's probably related to us, because one of my great-grandfather's father's brothers went to New York instead of Texas. So more than likely he's either one of his sons or grandsons, which is pretty neat. And I've always had a big love for genealogy, so it's kind of cool seeing how it connects everyone.
崔明叔而家差唔多都係90幾歲啦，喺美國休士頓嗰邊。
我知，我舊年就俾個電話，咁咧我今年咧我就即係呢個咩啦？呢個4月我翻出嚟咧，我就俾個電話佢，所以咧佢嘅電話咧就冇人接聽，我都有咁嘅維持，即係佢阿嫲啦。
嗯。
時間咧，我哋好少聯繫啊，咁樣啊嘛。
Last year he gave a phone call to Lin Chunyong, but there's no person answering the phone, so he was worried about if he's living or not.
He's still alive. He's still alive.
係啊，仲在生添，90幾歲。How is he? Is wealthy or?
His health is doing good. He's very healthy. He's still very active. He's just not. He's not on phones a lot. He doesn't use a cell phone. So.
崔明叔而家90幾歲，身體仲幾好，但係已經唔用手機啦，好少用手機咁樣咯，所以可能你打唔通佢電話。
應該咧，佢就有93、4歲啦。
係啊，90幾歲啦。仲有相，仲有幾張相。
同埋咧，佢就有屋企嘅電話，嗰時我打過佢都唔係好聽，我就唔知佢係咪兩個人點樣啊咁樣。
年紀大啊，可能都聽唔到啊，有時啊。
係啊，可能係話年紀大，耳仔唔係聽唔到。
係啊，啲聽力冇咁好噶嘛。
你過唔新嘅喎？嗰個七哥話唔新你係點啊？
佢唔識我成嘅，唔識我成啊，係。
Yeah, he gave a phone call to the Lin Chunyong's family, but nobody answered. So.
He only has a wall phone in his house. He doesn't have an actual cell phone or anything.
Oh.
So he's not on electronics a lot.
佢係話好似係，You mean they have what phone?
A wall phone, like a phone, like
this one.
Yeah, like the old style.
佢話淨係屋企有嗰啲座機，佢唔用。阿崔明叔已經係啊，即係阿崔明叔屋企咧，佢有個座機，但係佢已經唔用嗰種智能手機啦，即係冇自己手機咁樣。係可能就係。
我都打過佢嗰個應該係家庭嗰個座機啦。咁或者幾大或者啱啦，我。
When is your last time to see Lin Chunyong?
Christmas.
This Christmas.
Yeah.
This year.
Yes.
佢個孫今年聖誕節仲去過崔明叔屋企見過佢。係。
Yeah.
呢個都唔緊要，
After we got off the call with that cousin, they decided to take me around the village and show me some of the historical sites, which was really cool of them to do. And then they took me actually to the house of another cousin that they explained to me is very closely related to us, but is no longer living there. They live overseas now. But it was kind of cool to see the inside of their ancestral home and see some of the pictures, and also how they kind of renovated some of it but kept it still traditional in some ways. so which was still really neat to see.
Here.
Is there a reason why they visit this first before going anywhere else, or? They explained to me that any time before they go up into the mountains for Tomb Sweeping Festival that they always stop by this altar first to pay their honors and respects for going into the mountains where the ancestors are buried. They were kind enough to invite me back over to their home where I gave them some family tree charts of kind of all the family in America and stuff, and some old photos of relatives and stuff, and I think we're all trying to figure out how exactly we're related to them, which we got kind of a kick out of trying to figure that out, but it was still nonetheless a good conversation, and they definitely really appreciated seeing photos of family back home. This is the chickens they got, so which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Farm here.
This is what them and our co have, so that's pretty cool.
Theo suối để giống cái đi hồ lỗ. Biết đâu không?
Yeah. Yeah, it's much nicer now. Oh wow.
This is the well.
That's the original well.
It's for the whole village.
Crazy.
而家仲有水。
Very clear water.
係咪好深啊？
好深啊！
Extremely clear.
幾米啊
都要十
Wow.
米。
？It's like
哦，
呢個幾深啊？呢個
日喺我食嘅喎，
又係10幾米係咪？
呢有條邊嗰邊，其實有好啱啱
So
鬆。
she just explained to us that these are the wells that were used in the village. There's one down over there, and then there's one here right by this pond, and here's a little altar to the spirit of the well. But very pretty.
其實有好啱啱。
Okay, and so as the ancestral village visit was coming to a wraps for the day, I requested Uncle Lim and his wife to reopen the ancestral house one more time while I was there, to go have a walkthrough of the house and just spend some time there before I left. But I decided as I was going to do that, that I was going to record the entirety of the inside of the ancestral house to preserve what it looks like, and also in particular to show all of my family back home what the ancestral house looks like on the inside now, and in particular for the cousins that are around my age to see what the inside of our ancestral house looks like. So I did a very thorough, kind of detailed but fair-paced video of the entirety of every part of the inside of the house, every room, every kind of important detail of it, and did that that way all the family back home could see it, but also because, as you could probably see in a lot of the video, parts of the roof were collapsing and some of the beams were starting to look a little unstable. I wanted to record every detail within the house that I could to preserve it for the family, but also to preserve it to hopefully one day restore the inside of the house, or to at least fix the roof to preserve the rest of the house in return. I know that would probably be a very expensive project, but I think it would be one worth doing one day to preserve the ancestral house for the rest of the family, since still to this day, the ancestral house actually belongs to my great-grandfather legally, so which was something I learned while on this trip from the researchers, so which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I just hope that whether you're my family watching this, or, you know, you're just random people who are kind of interested in root searching stuff, and you're watching this, that it gives you some inspiration to do the same for your own family if you decide to go back to China. And I hope y'all just enjoy this part of the video, seeing the entirety of the ancestral house. Okay, so this is my great-grandfather's house where he grew up, and I'm going to do a little walkthrough video for my family and for myself for reference for some things. This section of the house that I actually first enter belongs to one of my great-grandfather's cousins, actually. So everything in this section of the house belongs to him. But here's kind of the condition of the roof and stuff, and some old style glass skylights. And let me flip it around here and kind of show you what I got. Really nice. And then right here you have this little niche in the wall and some old things. And you have some spare bricks and piping. But you come to this door and enter what was a bedroom. It's rather dark in here, I might add, but there's a lot of old building material, leftovers from when a lot of people were still living in this house. But as you can see, there's still a lot of personal belongings of my great-grandfather's cousin in here. But here's kind of the condition of the roof and the walls. And I'm actually taking this video right now as a future reference. That way, God willing, one day I can come back and restore the roof in the part of the house that is my ancestral house and that of my family, to preserve it for future generations. But as you can see here, a lot of old bottles and stuff left over. And then there's the main doorway and entrance there. And so when you go through this door right here, you enter the ancestral hall, which is kind of the common area of the two houses, since that particular cousin is very closely related to us. So let me go to the first corner here and kind of give you all a view of it. And you got this old terracotta tile and these huge jars here. And when you go up, you have the ancestral altar, so which, thank God, hasn't been affected by the roof collapsing. I was very worried that when I heard that parts of the roof had collapsed, that maybe it had damaged it. But here's the ancestral tablets that remain, and here's an altar to, I believe, probably to the Guangdong here, and some fresh ash right there from us doing Taishan in the house today. But this was the original offering table that was used, and as you can see, there's remnants of offering jars and bottles and stuff, probably from the last time my great-grandparents came here in the 80s or 90s to worship. And try to get a view of behind the altar there for all of us, so we can see what's up there. And here's some of the details of the ancestral altar to preserve that for us. And God willing, this will be here 100 years after I've lived out my full share of life. But let me kind of go from the bottom here to the top, so where we can get a good view of what it looks like. And it has that main red center beam, and flipping down, we got that. And here's, going back now, the entirety of the backside of the main kind of common area. So which, as you can see, has this beautiful glass window and painting over here, and another altar. Not sure who the altar for this is to, but it's rather beautiful, and it's got this little pond from where water falls and stuff. We're kind of going from this way, you have the door, so which is where I just was in that room, and here is the wall on that side, besides for this part of the roof, and that falling down, and that one looking a little unstable. Everything else is in fairly good condition, but probably need to act fairly fast to try to preserve it. And a lot of old nails in the wall from probably when we had a lot of other stuff in it. But the floor is kind of a mix of kind of this gray granite and stuff. But thankfully my relatives were extremely nice and courteous enough to clean the floor for me before I came to worship in the house today. But this room over here is actually what belongs to my great-grandfather still. It's still deeded in his name still this day. Here's the door, kind of to it. I'm trying to go to kind of the furthest corners of each room to give you all a view of what the condition of the house is like. Unfortunately, he still has some roof issues here and some other beams that are kind of having some structural issues. It's definitely all savable, but it would take a fair deal of work, I would have to say. Here's the old stove and stuff, and it's rather beautiful. And there's the doorway there. And something I think that's kind of important to preserve here in this video is not only that little niche, but this beautiful old altar niche that's here in the house. And you have this little incense burner to Tendi that's in the stone door frame. Here's kind of the view out the door on my great-grandfather's side of the house. So when you go back through here, you can see there's this door, which is the door to what was my great-grandfather's bedroom, and as you can see, a lot of the roof has unfortunately fallen in here. And up there, my great-grandfather told me when we were looking through some old photos of this house, actually, that is where he slept when he grew up. And here's the kind of beautiful old bed frame that belonged to him and his mother, since they're the main ones here in the past. And this beautiful old frame and stuff, it's quite a room, and I'm having to be very careful since there's so much tile that's unfortunately fallen in, and there's some more video of kind of the central damage and stuff, so hopefully we can save it eventually, whether with some help or on my own. But here's kind of another view of that to try to preserve it, God willing. And once again, just a really beautiful old bed, and you still have all these ceramic pots and jars that my great-grandfather and his mother and his sister probably ate out of, and kept food in when they were kids. And I did find some old family photographs in here, but unfortunately their portraits have very badly disintegrated from the high humidity here in Guangdong province. But yeah, that's kind of the tour of the ancestral house, and I really hope I can do something to save it, or at least preserve its memory by making this video, or if not, do both and preserve the house. So I have high hopes for it, but I just wanted to share this with all of my audience, and in particular all of my family and friends. And now we're headed out of the village and headed home. And it's been a very busy day, but I'm very happy. Got to think about it a lot on the way home and once we're in the hotel. So this is Dong Village, or Dong An Village in Mandarin. So it's been great. After we started our drive back to the hotel where everyone was staying, it was about a 45-minute drive back, so which gave me a lot of time to think and reflect upon the 2 action-packed village visits we had had that day, and all the time with relatives and all the things I learned from them, and just seeing the places that were very significant to our family's history, so which was very special. And even though I've been home for almost 3 months now, when I'm watching these videos and editing them together, there's so much I'm still processing from these village visits and such, because there's just a lot to unpack with it all. So I think it was definitely the journey of a lifetime in many ways that I will always be processing to some degree. Before I draw this video to a close, though, I wanted to give a huge thank you to my bakong and to my great aunts Elaine and Eva, who have helped me so much throughout the years in compiling all of the genealogical information, photographs, and family history that made this village visit possible, because without that information, I would have had no idea where to go. So I'm very grateful to all of them for all the help throughout the years, and also to my village relatives who helped arrange for everything in the village for the visit. It was really so nice of them to clean everything up and open everything up for us, and it means a lot. And so I hope y'all enjoy these photos of the family kind of back then and now. And so yeah. Okay, and so this formally draws the second village visit video to a close. I hope y'all enjoyed it and found it very insightful, and for my family, I hope you found it very meaningful and enjoyed it, and for those who also might be searching for the roots, I hope you also found it meaningful and helpful in some ways of perhaps what to expect during an ancestral village visit, or how to go about visiting your ancestral village. So I hope that was helpful for those of you out there like that. But to kind of add my concluding thoughts on this village visit, like I said a couple minutes ago, I have only been home for 3 months since I was last in the village, and it was an incredible experience, and still to this day, when I'm just like walking around, out here in the Texas countryside and stuff on my farm where I live, I have these moments of realization about things that I saw while I was there, or, family history stuff, where I got to come to realizations about things, and it's just, it's rather amazing, and then just processing that I was actually there, since this trip was actually my first time ever outside the United States, so it's still just kind of wow, I was actually there. But yeah, it was just overall really meaningful, and I'm definitely hoping to go back fairly soon, whether that be next year or the year after, somewhere around there, but I definitely want to go back to the Ancestral House and check it out, because there may be some new things in the works by then, and some new family history information that I got going by then, because I'm still hoping to find the Lem Zupu or Japu, so which is kind of like a family history book of the Lem genealogy. I am working with a good friend of mine, Mr. Patrick Chu, to hopefully figure out from the ancestral tablets within the Ancestral House which line of the Lem lineage that we come from in specific, so we can trace it back. But that's going to take some time, and I will definitely keep you updated if we do figure that out in another video. But without further ado, if you found today's video meaningful, and if you want to share this with more people within the family, with relatives that I don't know about, please feel free to share it. And if you just found the video interesting or cool, feel free to share it with whoever, and like the video, because it will help kind of get this video and message out there more about family history and preserving and knowing your roots. So without further ado, this has been Whatever the Heck Jesse Uploads. I will see you all next time. Bye.